what was your introduction to Detective Conan? Like, what was the first thing that you watched?
Wow. So
Yeah.
2004. Yes, I do actually. I remember the very first episode I watched. I was coming home from a family member's.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, no. Your voice is breaking. Let me. Just give me a moment.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's okay.
But no, I remember my first episode. I was coming home from a family member's house. I was 12 years old, and I turned on the TV. I just wanted to watch whatever was on Adult Swim because I was really into Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and I used to watch Inuyasha all the time. And I had started to watch Lupin a little bit, I guess, and I was like watching the show. I'm like, what is this? And I guess it was like 10:30 or 11 o'clock, whatever time slot it was in, and it had just basically started. I think it was, well, no, it didn't just start. It was like 30 episodes in, and I'm watching the TV episode of Jack Attacks. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at this German Shepherd dog just attack this guy, and the guy goes falling and tumbling down the stairs. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I started watching. I'm like, and then it turns out this person was triggering the dog to attack. I'm like, whoa, all right. And they solve it, and it's like a mystery show. I'm like, what is this? All right. And I got into it from there, and I started watching it a little more, and then I kind of stopped watching, and then went to Best Buy one day and saw that they had a couple of DVDs in the store, and I'm like, oh, well, I watched this on Adult Swim. Let me pick up this DVD, and it was like the Weapon of Choice DVD, or one of the single. It had Weapon of Choice, which is 53 to 56 or 55, and it had the Miss Goblin Murder on it, the two Miss Goblin Murder series on it. So I watched that, like, I mean, literally on repeat, probably about 15 times. And
Wow.
and then I went to look for it on Adult Swim again, and I'm like, it's not on here. Well, it was on there. It was on at like 4 in the morning. So I'm like, okay, well, I was now they had a weird thing going on. This was in like the summer of '05. They had a weird thing going on where they had a show called Toonheads, which I had grown up with.
Oh.
And it's got like a bunch of old like Bugs Bunny cartoons and all this, but they have like stories behind the cartoons before you see the cartoons. Like, well, this person was inspired to draw this, and this is why these characters are in the episode you're about to watch, sort of thing. And it would give you like a
Oh.
little bio on the cartoon. Well, I was trying to record as much of Toonami, or not Toonami, Toonheads as much as I could, and I was like,
Oh.
well, Toonheads comes on right after Case Closed at 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Let me just stay up and watch them both. So in the summer of '05, I would literally stay up and watch Case Closed, and then I would watch Toonheads and record Toonheads.
Wow.
And so I kind of got caught up on Conan that way, and then I lost track of it again for a little while, and then around 2007, I really got back into it and bought like all the DVDs. I got really caught up. I bought the first movie, watched that, and then from there I was just really hooked. And then when the second movie came out, literally the day it came out, I went to Best Buy and picked up the second movie. So I mean, I've been really into Conan for a while, like almost
Wow.
since the beginning, really.
It's so cool.
What about you?
I
What was
believe
your first exposure to it?
mine was, I think I was like 5 years old, and it was this not a murder case. You know, the one where the lady plays the piano. It's, I think, one of the
Yeah,
first
Moonlight
100
Sonata.
episodes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Midnight
Moonlight
Sonata.
Sonata.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I still remember like the guy pushes his hair and he sees the scar in his face. I
Yep.
remember that so vividly. That was the one scene that I remember till now. Like, I didn't watch it in English actually. I actually watched it in Arabic, and then for another 5 years I didn't have any Detective Conan. But then once I got an internet connection, I actually did look it up, and that's when I found all about Detective Conan and Case Closed. I believe uh, the first two movies are already out. The other the other four movies didn't actually they weren't actually released in English. No. The third movie is actually released. So my first case closed uh, media that I watched was actually what is that? The third movie. What is it?
Last Wizard of the Century?
Yeah, Last Word of the Century. That was the one that I watched as in case closed. And after that, I got hooked on the whole series.
Now, is there an Arabic dub of the series?
Yeah. There was an Arabic dub for, I believe, the first 100 episodes, 200 episodes, I guess. But I actually but the TV TV was only running, I believe, the first 50 episodes, or no, first 100 episodes, I believe.
In Arabic.
In Arabic. I actually didn't understand a lot of it when I was a kid, but when I grew up, I actually did watch the whole thing in English.
Wow. Okay. What did you think of the Arabic cast?
Yeah, the Arabic cast is what I grew up with, so they were like the OG voice actors for Detective Conan for me.
Yeah. What did you think of them? Did you like how they portrayed the characters, or what did that sound like to you?
Kuda, this one was that Kogoro, he was almost the same. When I was a kid, he almost sounded the same as the original Japanese. Conan was also not that bad. Everyone was not the same as the Japanese. I won't compare them to the Japanese because the Japanese does something else with the voice that the Arabic did not do, that sounded a bit different, because the way that the Arabic people spoke was a bit different compared to the Japanese. That means the tone of the voice going up and down. So the portrayal of Conan was good, actually. I actually like that a lot compared to the English. I still prefer the English for Conan till now.
Any idea why they didn't continue?
No, I never kept up with the Arabic after, I believe, the first 100.
But they do the movies now, right? In Arabic?
Yeah. I believe 20 first movie is still dubbed in Arabic.
Is it the same cast?
No, they've changed it up.
Oh.
I believe after 300 they stopped it, and after 300 they stopped and they started with the movies and a few episodes. I believe just mainly the movies. So when the dub released for the English version, that's almost the same time when the dub for the movie also released. That means Zero the Enforcer.
And they probably came out around the same time, if I had to guess.
Yeah, they did. It released in the Middle East on a streaming service at first. So they both did come out in English and Arabic. English and Arabic. English, Arabic, and Japanese.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, at least you've got 3 different versions to choose from, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
It could be, I have to tell you, it could be a little confusing in the theater if you don't communicate which version you're going to see.
True.
Could be sitting there going, I don't know what's going on here.
That was really cool. After like I watched the episodes of Detective Conan and Case Closed, that's when I came across you. After everything was done and there weren't any more episodes and everything was gone, like they weren't continuing the series, that's when I came across your channel, Save Case Closed.
Okay. So you've been following it for a little bit, or following the channel for a while.
Maybe 2011 or 12, around that time, like exactly a bit after you started your thing. And after you started it, I actually I got inspired by you and I started my own Facebook page for Detective Conan in India. So that actually did get a bit of a following. I believe almost 1,000 people. I believe it's still up right now. So it was called Detective Conan /Case Closed. Bring Back Detective Conan /Case Closed Official. I believe it's still up. Me and my friends got together and made the page. And actually, we did dub a few episodes in Hindi too. My friends did.
No kidding. Which episodes?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I left the page after, I believe, 2013 2014, and after that,
Yeah.
I believe they did dub the continuation after the English. I believe so. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at it. Yeah.
Wow.
So I Detective Conan has a fan base around the whole world, and it still is a big franchise that is still profitable for TMS. So if they get an English dub for Detective Conan rolling, it'll reach everywhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will too if they continue to approach it from an international standpoint. Now,
Yeah.
my question is this episode 1 that's coming out in July, is that going to make its rounds worldwide like movie 22 kind of has? And I think
Yeah.
that's what I would like to know, from them.
Yeah, I don't think in India or the Middle East we don't have any information for Detective Conan episode 1 the dub. It might come on that streaming service eventually, I guess. But until then, we don't have any information here. So it's mainly to the US audience to buy it and, get this hyped up. So I really hope everyone in America does that.
That's the goal, is just trying to interact with everybody that is a fan and trying to get them to do it. I mean, that's really, at this point, that's all we can do. And from there, trust me, I'll be out there promoting it and raising my hand, and I know you will too. And definitely next year, once this Corona thing passes, I'm going to go to as many conventions as I can to promote the series, as much as possible, just to get awareness out there. And if it does well, those conventions could be really good too. So we'll see. And maybe next year I'll just spend most of my time bugging Discotech and going doing conventions where they are and being like, hey, when are you gonna do more? Hey, when are you doing more? Come on, let's go. Pick it up.
Yeah. I believe next year we might get a new dub of. We might have a premiere of a dub in Con or something. I believe. I hope so.
That it could happen. I mean, I don't know if they're going to tackle the whole thing. I think that's kind of a tall order for anybody. But if they tackle certain episodes or certain key episodes, I'm not saying just manga episodes. Some of the airy courtroom cases were really good too, and those are just anime originals. And I will say the last I don't know 200 episodes have been really good. I mean, in general, there was kind of a lull between, I would say, 500 and 700, but man, from 750 on to where we are now, there have been some really awesome cases, even in the anime originals. So it's hitting its stride. I think it's doing really, really well. And I mean, as well as the movies do in Japan, I mean, when you look at what movie 23 did, it did, 9.18 billion yen, which translates to $119 million in the US.
Wow.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
So there is money behind the property too, to do it justice and to make sure that it has a good, and the movie's doing so well in Japan probably is why we're getting a dub too. It's like, man, we're making so much money on this, like so much money, and we don't have this in English. We need an English version of this. We've made so much money on it everywhere else in Japan and everything with the release. We've got to get an English dub of this. So there could be some of that too going on.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, if they market it a bit more and a lot more people heard about Detective Conan, I believe it could be a huge hit in America. And even worldwide.
When it comes to marketing, I would not say TMS is going to do that with Case Closed, because they don't do it for any other show very well. I mean, even Dr. Stone, they really didn't do all that well with Dr. Stone and the marketing there, and they really haven't marketed Lupin all that well. When you look at the people that are marketing it, it's the Discotechs of the world. It's the BangZooms of the world. TMS doesn't know. TMS, I'm just going to say it on the record, does not know how to play that game. They just don't know how to market, and they just don't put the effort into the marketing side of it. Maybe they do. They've been around for, I don't know how many years, forever, it seems like, 60, 70 plus years. Yeah. But from what I can tell, even back when Case Closed was around, that's not their game, and they don't know how to play that game. It's the people that are distributing it now, like the Discotechs, and the people that are recording, like BangZoom. It's going to be up to them to really push the marketing side. But if it shows up in places like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Crunchyroll, that's all the marketing they're going to really need to get a foothold. You know, content wins the day. The more content you have and the more it comes out on a continuous basis, the more you win, you know, marketing or not. But they need content, and they need to put stuff out.
Yeah.
And people need to buy it.
Yeah, that's true. If they get this on like at least Crunchyroll or Netflix, I believe like it would be really big. The dub.
Yeah, and they could. And on Crunchyroll, it'd be really easy to say, hey, here's 50 episodes of dubbed Case Closed. Bam, right on Crunchyroll. There you go. Boom, right there. And there's 50 new episodes of content on Crunchyroll that people would go nuts over that and really consume that. And it would be probably a top 10 series once again on Crunchyroll if they did that. I mean, when it first came out on Crunchyroll, it was constantly in the top 10, top 5 of most popular series because there was something coming out every week for it at a certain point. They had just acquired the license and made a huge deal of it. And I don't think they had to pay a whole lot to get it. They paid for that, and I think 7 or 8 other shows were all bundled together in a package, and they just were able to pick it up, and it happened to be the flagship of what they picked up. So it's like, oh, we have this, by the way, and we're going to be simulcasting that. And Crunchyroll doing what they've done, you know, simulcasting the show, you know, for us 3 or 4 days after it airs in Japan. That's awesome. That is so huge. People don't understand. When it comes to
huge one.
When it comes to Case Closed in America and the one company we should be thanking more than anybody, it's Crunchyroll.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if they didn't dub the episodes, because they had to pick off where no other standard sub was there for Detective Conan for a while, right? DCTP was gone, and then there was a huge gap void. I mean, some people did try. But I believe Crunchyroll came and solidified that position of the sub for Detective Conan current episodes.
Yeah, the Moonlighters came along, stepped in for a while and did that, did the movies. They did a great job, but if you don't have the followers that the translation project has, it's tough to get off the ground, you know, and they had a big infrastructure of like when they were releasing, where it fell in the category. Was it a manga episode? Was it a regular episode? This is where you watch it. This is where you go to watch this episode. You don't go anywhere else. This is where it is. We're going to have another one next week. Not only are we going to have it, we have a giant forum base. So we're going to talk about the episode with hundreds of people online every week. And then we're going to get hyped up for the next one. That was a community that was like together, locked in. They knew what they were doing. They knew where they were going. And, you know, they were shut down. So, you know. And derailed.
I mean, till now we don't even have a proper sub community for the movies, right? We do have a few people on and off here and there, but I don't think we have like anyone who we know who is going to sub. So the main way we can consume a movie right now is the official dubs for the latest movies.
Well, and I'd imagine, you know, if Crunchyroll was to lose it, there'd be another fan group that would pick it up and do it, but it would just be part of, you know, a bunch of other shows they would do. It wouldn't be their central focus. Like the translation project, that was their life. And their font was easy to read. It was easy to follow. The translations were, I mean, they weren't perfect, but certainly they were not bad either. So they had a really good fan sub translation behind it. And they had a community of people that wanted it and not only wanted it, but wanted to talk about it too. And, you know, now we have Twitter and Facebook and all sorts of ways to interact. I've got to be more active on Twitter because, man, I've been more Facebook, but everybody's on Twitter. I got to get with it. And I'm definitely going to.
You did tweet at the voice of Shinichi, right?
And Wendy Lee as well. Yeah. I sent them both some nice tweets.
Yeah, I hope they reply back because I'm really interested to see what they're doing with Detective Conan and this one Shinichi Goro.
Well, they both liked the tweets I sent them, so that was nice.
Yeah, that's the same thing Griffin Burns did last year. I actually did hit him up. Yeah. So
did you?
Yeah, I did hit him up. Yeah.
But I would love for him to come on and talk about it, you know,
Yeah.
and just you know, when I talk to voice actors, I don't even care about talking about the character they portray. I always like to figure out, like, how did you audition for the character? You
Yeah.
know, how did you approach it? Do you know, like, what were they asking you to do? What do you know? You know, I don't even care about, like, man, you're voicing this person. That must be so cool. I want to know, like, the process that they went through to get into
Yeah.
that character. You know what I mean? Or portray the character, or how many people auditioned, or what they were up against. I love finding that stuff out, you know, because the other stuff, they're general questions you could ask at a convention. If I'm sitting down and talking to somebody, man, I just want to know, like, the process. I want to know, what's your method? How did you get there? What's the approach? I'd love to even talk to Wendy Lee about it. Be like, you know, as a veteran voice actress, how did that call happen? How did you even approach, because she hasn't really voiced childlike characters, you know, so it's like, how is that different from previous roles? What's the approach? Is it difficult? Is it not difficult, you know, stuff like that. I would just love to know from these voice actors and
Someone should
actresses.
just someone should just clip this and send it to Griffin Burns and Wendy Lee.
I love it, dude. I tell you what, I would love to talk to them, because
Yeah.
they know what they're doing, and they're taking on a franchise that is beloved. And I would love. Tell you what, if Wendy Lee or Griffin Burns is listening, I would love to talk to y'all anytime about Case Closed, Detective Conan. I just absolutely would love to, and I would love to find out, you know, how you even got the voice roles to begin with.
Yeah, they're really good people. They're really good voice actors for Detective Conan, for voicing these characters in Detective Conan. I mean, after coming from Funimation, everyone is really on edge of these new voice actors. But so far, what I've seen online is everyone's accepting them. I haven't seen any negative comments till now based on these performances. Everyone's really positive about this till now.
Well, at the beginning, I didn't see all the positive, because people were like, "Oh my God, this person's different," or "This is different." You know, at the beginning, especially when we put out the voice clip of movie 22, and it was like the intro opening. But that's because it's
Oh,
different voices. But what I have to remind everybody listening, you have to remember this dub. I mean, movie 22, that was built for an international audience. That was built for everybody.
yeah,
And if this is going to be an international dub, what you have to understand is there have to be voices in place that, what's the right word, that
everyone
play
understands.
to, well, that everyone understands, but that plays well to an audience not just in America, but to a international, worldwide
Yeah,
audience
that's
that
true.
is accepting of how that character sounds, or how that person sounds. That's why having the Griffin Burns and the Wendy Lees of the world on this is really, really impactful, because they can do that. They can
Yeah,
approach the characters in a way where it's true to the character, but it's for an international audience. And you know, if they continue to do what they've done with their secondary characters too, you know, or even less, you know, more supporting characters like Amuro being voiced by Kyle McCarley, and
yeah,
Richard Epcar doing Kuroda. You know, if you take those supporting characters and continue to cast them really well, as at the same time with the numerous, I mean, large pool of actors they have,
yeah,
this could be fantastic. This could be exactly what we've wanted. You know, for a long time, I ever lost hope of getting a new dub. My thing, even the last year or two, was maybe we could get a bunch of episodes released via
yeah,
sub, get like an official
oh,
sub. You know.
yeah, yeah. The fandoms are doing well for a while, but in the end, the subs is where what the subs was actually the most accessible thing up till last year. We never expected. Like, what was your first impression when you found out that Detective Conan was getting a dub, like the new movie?
I did not believe it. I was shocked. For one, I was like, I just because I mean, I really was, and how I found out was kind of a tad bit different from everybody else, and I can't really talk about it. But
Oh,
um, and it was just so out of the blue, and I was just like, really. My first reaction was, No way. That's yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't necessarily excited at first. I was more like, huh, that's interesting. Um, that's different. I never saw that coming. And I don't know. I was grinning, I was happy, but I was like, that's just odd. I never, because I was still, we were still working on the fan dub side of things and trying to figure out how that was going to go. And then I heard that from somebody, and I was like, no way. Like, wow. Okay. Um, and then, sure enough, I guess 2, 3 months later, I find the 20-second movie online, and a bunch of people are talking about it, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, okay. And I guess it had been out a little while, so literally right after I heard about it, um, from somebody, I guess like a month later, I guess the movie was out there and floating about. So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't necessarily happy, but I was like, that's interesting.
Oh,
That's kind of what hit me. I wasn't happy or sad. I was just more like intrigued. But to
really?
find out that BangZoom's behind it, it makes sense. There really wasn't another company that could handle it the way that they could outside of Funimation, obviously.
Yeah, that's true. When I first heard about it, I was really mad. I
Were
was
you?
really mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because the way that I found it was I was like going through one of the news websites of anime news websites, and I came across it on the side. Like it was talking about the conventions, and then I heard and I saw Detective Conan, and immediately when I clicked it, I found that it was Detective Conan, that they were having a dub, but I was mad that, there wasn't any marketing at all. There was no information anywhere. There was no one talking about anyone. I mean, about the thing. There was no one talking, no trailers, just a single poster, no information about what was going on, who was working on it. So immediately, like, I was mad. Like, Detective Conan is coming after so long, and they're not even talking about it. Like, other than one article online, there was nothing else on Detective Conan.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The person we had interviewed, V Lord, who went to the premiere, said, when I went, I think I was the only press that was even there for the movie,
Wow.
and there was no Anime News Network or any other news outlet there that was there to cover the film. It was literally just him, reviewing it, and
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, but I don't think a whole lot of people knew or had time. The problem I
that's
have
true.
with these conventions announcements, and I went after TMS pretty good on this about Twitter, about how they've handled it. I really have. I've tweeted to them like, hey, you're really doing a disservice to the fans by doing what you're doing, premiering this stuff at expos and not releasing it. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. I mean, seriously, they should, and that's how I felt, because some of this was, for me, we're showing it at expos, but we're not saying anything till. And the other problem is that, yeah, we heard about it going to Anime Expo like 2 or 3 weeks before it actually went to Anime Expo. And then we just
Oh,
only recently heard like a week before it was going to be a dubbed film.
oh,
Nobody really had time to react to that news. So even if it was to get good coverage, who's going to make the plans to go cover that
that's true.
2 to 3 weeks out? We all have regular jobs and have regular lives. So I was like,
Yeah,
what is this, about? And I was about the casting change. I really wasn't that upset, but I wasn't upset in the beginning. I said if they call it case closed, though, they need to use the original cast to do
yeah.
this. So that I had a problem with, but they were calling it Detective Conan, and I'm like, well, more international, that makes sense. Now they've had to go back to the case closed name.
That's true.
I'm not sure what the legal reason behind that is, because Conan O'Brien did a whole thing about Conan,
Yeah, that's
and I
true.
thought he was the reason. But maybe there's a license in his own name that you just can't get around it, even if he doesn't care. It could be
Yeah,
copyright and trademark and all that stuff,
that's
where they
true.
just cannot use it. So
Yeah.
I understand why they've gone back to it, and I'm very accepting of it now. And
Yeah.
the fact that TMS is doing what they're doing, I'm totally behind them. I think how they're handling it is great, but
Uh,
it's the fans'
yeah,
turn.
yeah. I believe like you're the only Detective Conan fan press that's actually out there, right? I mean, yeah, that's sort of like sort of like a press that means someone who lets everyone know about Detective Conan information. So even if they asked the normal press, they're not going to know what Detective Conan is to start with.
Well, normal, yeah, but guys like V-Lord that are manga review, critics and people that go and do a lot of stuff, they know much more about anime than I do.
Yeah.
I'm just not into that much anime. I'm really not. I mean, I grew up with a lot of the things most people did, the Yu-Gi-Ohs, the Inuyashas, the Dragon Balls, and Pokemon, obviously everybody grew up with Pokemon. But this show just has something different about it. It's not that it's an animated show, because I just don't really care for a lot of anime. It's hard to get me hooked onto something. But when a show is this different, it has so many diverse characters, especially now, where if there's a storyline you don't like, well, this other character has another whole arc that you can go watch and get into what their characters are doing. So it has something for everybody. That's what makes it not just the greatest anime to me, it makes it the greatest show of all time in my book. I don't have another show I like more than it.
That's cool. I mean, the only information that we got for the movie was Twitter. That was like our news source for almost the entire time that it was running in the con. Like,
Well, yeah, and it sold out in 30 seconds
yeah,
for the convention too, because they didn't plan that very well. But it wasn't TMS's fault. That was the convention's fault for
yeah,
not planning it very well. They should have had, I think, at least multiple showings if they only had one theater. They should have done a few, like at least 2 or 3 showings of it and at least given some people an opportunity. But, they sold out in 30 seconds. You had 100+ people there that were on hand to watch it, and a whole bunch of TMS people that went to watch the film too. So to see what people's reactions kind of would be to it. So they are very involved, much more than they used to be with the series.
Yeah, I mean the
for English,
the people who are running TMS, the social media for TMS, they have to do a better job. I feel like. What do you think? Like, so far, the only thing that they've been doing is like posting stuff like of the con, like few days before, like 1 week, like what you said, a week before. But they should at least inform everyone beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. But the con thing, as much as I did get onto them with more reflection time, some of that may be them, and some of it may be the con.
Yeah, you're right.
My problem with the whole thing was, how come we're having such a long gap between convention releasing the movie and then getting a physical copy of the movie? Because, I mean, Zero the Enforcer, even if it comes out this year, it'll have been almost a year and a half by the time it comes out, since it was seen at Anime Expo last year. So that's what I have a problem with. I'm like, man, if it's hot, strike while the iron's hot. If it's sold out at Anime Expo, man, get that sucker on a DVD or a Blu-ray in 2 months and drive that momentum and, say, hey, we're premiering it here. It did really well. We're opening up pre-orders for this film, and we're going to release it in 2 months. But again, this is where I have to, as a fan, kind of step back and say, well, maybe there's a contract deal in there. Maybe there's a clause. Maybe Discotech did not agree right off the bat to say, hey, we're going to come in and distribute it, because TMS isn't going to distribute it. It's got to be another distribution company like a Discotech or a Funimation or whoever else would do anime, Aniplex or whatever, would have to come in and actually physically release it. So maybe they had trouble finding a suitor for that.
Yeah, I mean, even though they put it in the cons, like even though they had it at the cons, they premiered it. People headphones.
Hey, there,
in
Joe?
the comments on one of my videos. Yeah. Hello, you can hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So like a guy in the comment section. So like a guy in the comment section on one of my videos, he actually did attend one of the 21st movie. That means the 21st movie dub. He did attend it, but one thing was that he was searching for the convention center, and even some of the people who wanted, some of the staff didn't know where it was, so they didn't actually, market it properly. They didn't advertise it even at the con. So that's a big minus point for the cons, right? The cons and everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Well, at the con, it's up to them at that point. I've been to some conventions where they really will botch some stuff, and it had nothing to do with me. So at that point, I put it on the con. I don't put it on the company. The con's got to get it together and figure that stuff out.
Yeah, you're right. But
Because if
exactly,
you're a company,
yeah,
you're bringing your content there to be shown. You want people to see it. It is
yeah,
the convention's responsibility to make sure that that's done in an organized fashion. It was the same thing when Jerry Jewell and I were supposed to get together at Techo. We were supposed to, but the convention really botched everything, and it just didn't happen. Now, was I terribly upset? No, because stuff happens, But
yeah,
if you're showing
that's
your
true.
content and people can't even find you to watch it, the company's probably pretty upset about that, and it's not even their fault.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I believe, yeah, the cons have to do a better job, but then, they should have actually done at least a digital release or a physical release for it.
Yeah, sooner. I mean, I think digital would have been better to go with sooner if they couldn't find a distribution partner for the Blu-ray or the DVD. I think they
Yeah,
should have gone digital quicker because they did the same thing with all the Lupin content they showed. They got that all that out pretty quick, like Gomon's
oh,
Blood
really?
Spray and Fujiko Mine, the Fujiko film that just came out, Fujiko's Lie or whatever. That
Oh.
that's come out on physical before Conan has, and I mean they were shown at the same con at the same time. So, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I'm a little salty about that, but at the same time, I think they can still do a good job with it. My
yeah,
message to them is just strike while the iron's hot. Don't have such a big gap in releases because you got to keep people's attention. There's so much
yeah,
anime content, there's so much other just content in general people can consume. The more you shove the same thing in their face and give them new stuff, and Conan has a lot of content and has a lot of stuff you could do,
yeah,
until you really give it a shot to get a foothold, you're not doing it really a service. I mean, this is kind of like, it's like what Funimation did saying, hey, we're going to put out seasons 4 and 5. And guess what, guys? We're not doing anything after that. But here you go. Like, okay, so you want people to buy this, and then you have no future plans to do any more with the series, and you want people to run out and buy your stuff. It's that same kind of thinking. So,
yeah,
um, for them, it's just if you have 21 and 22, which they do, obviously, because we've seen them, get those out as soon as possible. And if you have a rumor film like a Darkest Nightmare, or who knows, maybe if Blue Sapphire, if it's a film that they've done, you never know. If you have something in
yeah,
there that you're wanting to bring out next year, if I'm them, I'm bringing out 21 and 22 this year, and then next year at the beginning of the year, I'm looking to bring out Darkest Nightmare if they did do that film. And then, I'm looking at some episodes or some other specials to bring out. But something, if you
yeah,
want to make money on the property and you want people to consume it, and it's all about money. People don't care if you like the show, people care if you buy the show. I
that's
care if
true.
I like it because I want to consume good content. I'm the consumer.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you what bores me to death and what really makes me lose interest is when I see a convention appearance from last year, and just a year later, now I'm finally getting a physical release of something. Not
yeah,
good enough. I gotta have a little bit more of that in my life. Now, if they want to go every year, say movie 24 and 25 and 26 come out over the next few years, and they want to just do the movies every year and do one film a year, I got no problem with that because at that point I know what I'm getting. But I don't want to
yeah,
be teased with a whole bunch of, well, you never know. Like they put out a Twitter post for one of the episodes going out on Crunchyroll, and it said, "There's no case closed dub yet. ... But here's this episode on Crunchyroll." Don't tease me. Like, give me something to really work with, because fans around here have been fans, in the U.S. especially, have been fans since 2004, 2005. We're not up for being teased. We want content. We want Conan stuff. For diehard fans like me, it's like, just give us something. If it's just going to be on Crunchyroll, that's fine. I'm cool knowing that. And if you want to put out one film in English a year, I'm cool with that. I got no problem with that. But communicate that that's what we're doing. And that's all I'm looking for.
Do you think TMS is going to listen to the fans in the first place?
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't think fans are communicating really what they want. Fans, I'm probably one of the only ones, along with you, that is saying, well, I want this. Well, I actually want this. Or a lot of fans are like, hey, why don't we have more? Like, where's episode 131 or where's episode 132? I see that all the time. People don't really know.
Yeah.
But I'm one of the few people that'll go, hey, this is what it is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, no one actually knows where they have to speak. They all just speak everywhere at the same time. So if everyone focuses at one point, there's the TMS's Twitter page or maybe some other outlet of Detective Conan or distributor. If they focus on that one group and like tell them that they want Detective Conan, I guess maybe TMS would be good. Like, if all the people who are asking everywhere, like on Quora or on Reddit or on even the episodes on Kiss Anime, if everyone asks all in the same place on the Twitter page, that would actually work. I believe they would listen to that, because compared to the tweets of Lupin, which has like 20 tweets or 30 replies as a thread, we actually get like 4 replies to a Detective Conan tweet from TMS, 4 or maximum 10.
Yeah, and that's because there's not as much stuff out there to build up hype or to build up interest. Now, I think how they've approached the marketing with Discotheque and the trailer and the announcement, and hey, we have to call it case closed because of legal issues, but we're going to use the original names. That's really good advertising, and that's a really good way to tell people, hey, this is what it is this time around. This isn't your normal 2004, 2006 case closed. This is different. We're doing it differently. The fact that they've communicated that to the audience, and that people know that's big. That's big for a lot of people, because a lot of people hated the localization, but it wasn't really TMS's fault. That part wasn't their fault. It was Gosho Ioma who wanted to have the localization. That wasn't anybody else. He wanted it to be put in a way where it was more, what's the word? Catered, where it catered to an American audience or to a Western audience. So that a lot of those decisions were not TMS. A lot of that came from Gosho himself, and a lot of people do not know that.
Yeah, I mean, after listening to, Jimmy Kodo and Rachel Moore, people do prefer that a lot more because it was localized. But I believe if they did grow up with Shinichi and Rachel, Shinichi and Ran, they would have preferred that, I believe. What do you think?
It's because that's what they grew up on. People are going to gravitate to what they grew up on. It's why, in the States, it's why everybody still loves the Backstreet Boys,
Yeah.
Everybody grew up with the Backstreet Boys. I don't care that they're 45 and almost 50 years old, man. I want them to sing the same stuff and be the same way and dance the same way and still tour and do all that, because that's nostalgia. That's what I grew up on. I want stuff from my childhood to still be relevant in my adult life, because it gives me a link to the past. And that's what it felt like, with those characters and those names. But just like that was my childhood, this new era could be somebody else's childhood.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there are a lot. This is going to bring a lot more fans into Detective Conan.
Yeah, if they can keep the
Yeah,
same cast together and keep, you know, people together and doing those characters and doing them consistently, yeah, absolutely. I think casting is a really big part of this that a lot of people aren't focused on because,
yeah,
having the old cast kind of ripped away, from the license being lost and going to somebody else, it's going to
yeah,
affect a lot of people. But if this
sure.
cast is on, and I even said this in my tweet to Wendy Lee, I really hope that you voice this character for years to come. Because if she's on it for the long haul, if the Griffin Burns of the world are on it for the long haul, and the Kyle McCarleys, that are doing other characters, even, you're
Yeah,
winning. You're winning the more you can keep these people together.
yeah. I believe that it's gonna continue. I really have hope that this is gonna be something that we're gonna see again for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. We
Yeah,
all do. At this point, I mean,
yeah,
it's what's happening now is just
yeah,
wonderful. It really is.
yeah. It's really a miracle because in like 2 years ago, if you told me Detective Conan is gonna have an official dub, I would have laughed in your face. But now, after seeing everything that's happened, it's really thanks to you guys and all the dubs and the subs. You all really spoke because you guys uh, showed TMS that there's something that's there for Detective Conan. There are a whole lot of people who are gonna watch this. Like I'm pretty sure the people in the legal team, at least, who kept on striking all the videos, would have said like there are a whole lot of Detective Conan stuff that we are striking to, maybe. But they definitely heard your guys' voices. It's because you guys took a stand that we're getting a lot more Detective Conan stuff.
Well, and it's a lot of that's from the past. Obviously, for me, I
Yeah,
really got to get back into it. But it's guys like you in the present that are really putting out strong content and really educating people on who the voices are, and not
yeah,
only that, showing people who the voices are now with some of the
yeah.
clips.
That's
I mean,
true.
you're doing equally, if not more now, because you're showing the content and really giving people insight.
Yeah,
So I am so thankful that you're in the community and doing what you're doing, and shoot, maybe you should get back on that Facebook page and get it ramped back up, man. If you've already got 1,000
yeah,
followers, it's not like they went away. So
yeah,
maybe think about that, I'd love to
yeah. Sure.
follow it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing that maybe I should get into the future. But yeah, I mean, there isn't anything for the new voice cast online, so that was a bit upsetting because no one has heard their voice till now, except the very few people who have downloaded the dub and watched it a bit. Other than them, no one knows what the new cast sounds like. They don't know how to feel about it, so that is something that TMS has to fix, or BangZoom at least.
Well, they're gonna fix it when they have the release because they'll have credits and we'll know
Yeah,
by
that's
then,
true.
who's who.
Yeah. Because it was it was so confusing, right? Like a few actors did come on Twitter, but they didn't actually mention who they were. Most of them did, some didn't, and some didn't actually know who the other voice actors were, and it was totally confusing. I mean, like I did a video, this one saying who all the voice actors were, and the research that I had to do for that, the digging that I had to do was really a whole lot. Like I had to sit like 2 days and 2 days continuously just sitting, going through everyone's tweets. Yeah, I mean, even some of the fans were really confused about who was playing who.
Well, and that's yeah, and
Yeah,
luckily when the 20-second movie premiered at the expo, there was a lot of the actors who put out tweets and let people
yeah.
know who they were, and that was helpful.
Yes, that was
But
really cool.
second, but some secondary characters like McGuire and McGorry, like McGuire. I
Yeah.
mean, I just have no idea who voices them to begin with. So it would be good to figure that out. Like Dr. Agasa. Now, Dr. Agasa, that sounds. I mean, his voice sounds a little kooky. He sounds like Yukimoto. I'm almost like waiting for him to summon the Dark Magician or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds a little weird.
After coming from the Funimation voice of Agasa to this one, it sounds really off to me.
It's different. I mean, that's the thing. It's not, it's just hard hearing different people voice the characters. I think that's but the more they do it, that's the thing. I think the more scenes you see them in, the more you see them doing what they do, I think the more gravitated you just get to it over time,
True. TMS needs to put a lot more content online, because unless people listen to it and get used to it, only then they're going to buy it. Like, if they don't like the voice, they're not going to buy the DVD or the Blu-ray or even purchase it online. So unless they get everyone used to the voice, I don't believe a lot of people are going to buy it. Unless, the hardcore fans, other than the hardcore fans. I'm talking about, like, the mainstream audience.
Well, if the cast reaction is really good online right now, which for episode 1, the trailer, it has, for the people that have seen it, it's been pretty positive. So I do think it's going to sell. I really do. And I've seen so many people in the comments on Twitter and the stuff we've posted that are like, hey, I've already pre-ordered mine, or hey, I've already I actually pre-ordered 2 copies because I've got a friend who had sent out a message on the page and was like, hey, I live in India. I cannot order this. He's like, if you buy a copy and put it on eBay, I'll just buy it from you. I'm like, cool, I'll get you a copy. So I went ahead and ordered him a copy, and so that, he's a fan of the English dub and, wants to watch it from India. So, I mean, there's fans of this show all over the world. I got a guy following me who really liked the Singapore dubs I put out, and he lives in Iraq.
Wow.
So, I mean, it reaches. It really reaches.
Yeah. Yeah, it has a huge appeal to almost everyone, so I don't see why not. Yeah, it's really, I believe, the biggest audience it has right now is definitely, of course, Japan and the East Pacific region of Asia.
Yeah. No, I mean that would make sense if that's where the dub content's being shown. And
yeah, I mean, like, did you see the dub of the Indonesian dub of Detective Conan? I believe it's still going on. Like, even if you just search Detective Conan, you're bound to come across at least 4 or 5 Indonesian dubbed Detective Conan videos.
And they're still making it, huh?
Yeah, I believe so. But they're not caught up. I believe they're. I'm not sure, but it's still going on.
Yeah, this whole door for the English side could open really. I mean, it could open a lot of things for countries that want to show content, and instead of doing it in their own language, they may do it in English if this becomes an international sensation. But it starts with people in the U.S. and trying to get it to work here, and then seeing if it can continue to be a success internationally. And then that might be where episodes come into play. If it's really popular in other countries, it might be like, well, we're going to go ahead and do this because it makes so much money here. We're going to go ahead and do episodes because it's making money. So why not?
Yeah, as soon as other countries pick up it for TV, it's definitely going to get a localized dub, because that actually happens for almost every TV show that comes to India, at least. To India, we get at least 3 dubs in 3 different languages of any cartoon show that comes to India. So I'm pretty sure Detective Conan does come to India. We might actually get a dub for at least 3 dubs in just for India alone.
Well, hopefully they have it on home video. That's the big key. Were you able to reserve a copy, or are you not able to get it either?
No, not here in India yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you need me to pick up a copy for you. I'm already picking up one for somebody in India. So if you need a copy and you can't get access, let me know. I'll get you a copy and let's do the eBay deal.
Yeah. Good idea.
So
yeah,
I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll let you know. Yeah. Yeah, Detective Conan's gonna go up from here, I'm pretty sure.
Man, I hope so. That's the goal behind it. So
yeah. So any like ETA on when your dub is gonna premiere?
Yeah, so we're about halfway through mixing 492. 491 is already complete. Once I'm done with episode 492, we're going to go ahead and release 491 right away. And then we'll go to work on 493 when 492 is done. And hopefully within maybe once a month, we'll be able to put out an episode. That's kind of what I'd like to do. I've been talking to actors today on certain lines for certain episodes and just kind of getting an ETA from them on, hey, can I get this one? Can I get this one? Pretty soon. So I even touched base last night with the person that voices Vodka, and he's sending me a couple of episodes worth of voices. So, and we just casted a new Akai Shuichi, and that sounds really, really good. So his name's Eric. He's phenomenal. So we're excited. We're really excited. So I would say if I had to give an ETA, probably another three to 4 weeks, and we'll have that first episode of the Clash of Red and Black arc out. This will probably most likely be our last run at Fan Dubs. We'll probably finish this up. We might do movie 7. We're still leaving that door open. It's just a lot of work to put all this stuff together. It really is, for full episodes.
So like, how far are you on on movie 7? Have you started it, or are you planning to do it?
We have a script. We actually have a completed script. But as far as starting it, I have maybe 2 pieces of audio for it, and that's about it.
Oh, okay.
So not really starting. I'm very, very pre-production sort of spot with that one. And it's just not a focus right now. We just want to really get Clash of Red and Black. And then I've got the stadium case right after basically where Hybra and Conan go to the soccer stadium in season 6. Right after she turns into a little girl, like right after the special where she gets turned, or not turned, but where she's introduced basically. Episode 130 and 131 we actually have done right now. Those are completed, but looking for editing help on that to get those episodes mixed together now. We are completely done with that. And then we have that one-off episode 911. That's completed as well, but again, we need editors to come in and help with that content. So anybody that wants to work on those episodes, they are completed and ready to work on if anybody wants to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's it. Do you have anything to add?
Hold on, Joe. You just cut out there. What did you just say?
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything to add more? Do you have anything more to add to Detective Conan?
That's really a bulk of what I wanted to say. I know I've rambled on and on about stuff, so I'm sorry if I've given you a lot of filled content or fluff content.
So,
but
this is good.
It's been a lot of fun. I haven't sat and talked about Conan like this in a while. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I mean, you're like the first person I'm talking about Detective Conan.
Yeah, man, I've loved every minute of it. I really have. I'm glad we got to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't expect that you would actually reply when I asked you if you could talk to Detective Conan. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah, no, absolutely. You've been putting out good content for a long time. I've loved your videos, so absolutely. I mean, hell, I'll get with you again and we'll talk more about it when the release comes out if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. We'll see. Yeah.
So anytime you want to talk, let me know, man. I'm always up for talking about Conan. I really am, especially right now when we're all in isolation and quarantine and so
this is the best time to put Detective Conan content out. Everyone's sitting at home.
Yeah, binge watch 974 episodes. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good that you put the dub I believe you started in March or April, I believe. The dubs, the Singapore dubs.
Oh
When
yeah,
did
we
you?
started that. Yeah, we started putting those out in God, February, late February,
Oh,
March, yeah, something like that. No, you're
yeah,
right, March.
yeah, yeah.
Because I talked
That's
to Joe
the
in
time.
January, and then
Oh,
he started sending them to me in February, and then we started
oh.
working on them in March.
Yeah, the timing was perfect with with the virus and everything. Everyone's sitting and binging the episodes.
Well, and I do want to give one shout out to the Apollo Dub Archive group. They were
Oh, sure.
really influential in getting this done. If it wasn't for them, I mean, the torrent wouldn't see the light of day, and hopefully the hundreds of people that have downloaded it
Yeah,
and seen it, it would not be possible without them. So big shout out to the Apollo
sure.
Dub Archive group for helping out with that. They were just, I love those guys. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
a lot of yeah. Even I got it from the torrent actually. So I
Oh, there
believe,
you go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't actually have binged all the episodes altogether.
Oh, you binged them. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Uh, yeah. So even like when you commented on my video, I didn't think that it was actually I didn't actually know that it was you. I thought in between there was actually what was his name? There was another guy doing the podcast.
D-Wall.
Just yeah, D-Wall. I thought it was actually D-Wall because I actually hadn't listened to the podcast in a while. So I thought D-Wall was doing the podcast for a while. So I thought it was gonna be you. And when I went to the channel and I watched videos like the Joe Murray video, I thought, oh my God, it's Professor C. Like like after I replied to you, then I found out that it was actually you. So a bit shocked for a while.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I stepped away for a while, and
Yeah,
I gave D-Wall the reins to kind of run things. But there were some circumstances that I don't want to quite get into on this
uh,
show.
yeah, sure.
But it kind of it made me realize that I really needed to get back and kind of take control and drive the community a little more because there just wasn't
Yeah,
a whole lot kind of going on or progressing. And I thought, it's a really good time to kind of step back in with this because
yeah,
I've been involved for so long, and I really want to I want to be more involved. So I went ahead and took back over podcasting and community and kind of direction on where we're going to go. And it's been a good move for me. Obviously, I'd like to do it on a more consistent level. Um,
sure.
but
Yeah.
I've loved being back, and I just love Case Closed, man.
Save Case Closed wasn't the same without you, so I'm really glad that you're back.
I appreciate that. Seriously, it means a lot because I love the community. I love interacting. I love just the series and talking to people, and especially getting people into it that have just never watched it before.
Yeah, so that, uh, mainly the main people who have been keeping this community alive I believe you're like the root of this whole Detective Conan dub community. So without you, this whole tree wouldn't be standing. Like if you didn't actually make Safe Case Closed, I wouldn't have made a Facebook page and then later on make a YouTube channel and then talk about Detective Conan. So really kudos to you.
Oh man, I that means a lot to me, Joe. Seriously, that I appreciate that, and the content that you're making, I love it. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I
Sure.
love every bit of it. I really do. That's the thing. Hopefully, we're back to stay, and um, just want to keep putting out good content and good podcasts, and hopefully a couple of good fan dubs for people that kind of get hyped about what these characters are like in English. And would I just love to hear what TMS puts forward, and Bang Zoom and Discotheque, and let them hopefully they can carry it from here, and we can just get behind them and champion the whole way.
Yeah. I really hope they start listening to the fans a bit more, so that'd be cool.
Well,
if
I
him.
may, hopefully they are, and doing the movies is a big step. That's no little step. So
That's true.
even just having that, even if we just got one movie a year, I mean, we didn't have anything for 10 years, so
Yeah,
I'll take
that's true.
that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for talking with me, Professor. It's
Oh,
been,
absolutely. Absolutely, Joe. I've really loved every bit of this.
yeah. Thanks. So I'll listen. We'll talk later. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll send
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
the first few minutes of
Oh,
the episode,
right. Right. Sure.
and I'll
Thanks.
kind of I'll give you an insight, a little more insight as to me coming back and kind of how all that
Yeah.
played out.
Sure. For sure. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time. I didn't. I really didn't think this would happen.
Oh man, I've come on, of course.
Yeah. I mean, like you're like sort like a role model, I guess, for me taking on the internet. Like, if it wasn't for you, I don't think any of this would happen. So it's pretty cool. To
Yeah.
me, you're like a celebrity, I guess. So it's pretty cool. It's a huge milestone for sure.
Oh man, that means a lot to me. I seriously, that's very
Yeah,
flattering. I'm
yeah.
just happy to
Because
be here
yeah,
talking about it.
I mean, I grew up watching you, so for sure.
Well, shoot, how old are you now?
Oh yeah, now I'm like 21.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
10 years, 10 years ago, I believe. Yeah, 10 years now means I was 11, I guess, when I started. So,
Yeah. And you cut out a little bit, Joe. You there?
yeah, yeah. Hello? You can
Yeah, I
hear?
can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you now.
Yeah, so I started watching you maybe around 11 or 12, and now 20. It's not a bad. I mean, I've been keeping up with your channel for almost 8 years now, so it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah, and now you got your own channel.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
So, well, you're
yeah,
doing great
that's
work
good.
out there, my friend, seriously. And the
Thank
fact
you.
that, we're all getting a new piece of dub content, everybody plays a
Yeah,
part in that. So it's
that's true.
truly, it really is awesome. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, I really hope you get the opportunity to talk to at least any person from the new cast because I really want to know what's going on there. So let's see what they say.
Well, there's only so much they can say, but what they can say, I would love to hear what they have to say.
Yeah,
Like I say, if Wendy Lee or Griffin Burns ever want to come on, I'm very excited for that if they would
yeah.
want to. So
I mean,
I know they're
if enough
busy.
people ask them, yeah, yeah, dubs are still going on right from home, even though coronavirus is going around.
Yeah, it helps to have a home studio in times like
Yeah,
this, doesn't it?
that's true.
But man, this has been awesome. I've loved
Okay,
talking about it with you.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for
Um,
taking the time.
yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go ahead as soon as we hang up from here. I'll go ahead and get that first 16 minutes compressed, and then I'll send that over to you so you can mix anything,
Yeah,
the
sure.
interview any way you'd like to. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So thanks for
All right.
listening.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, man. Anytime. Call me anytime. I'm around. Anytime you want to talk case closed, I'm here, man. So reach out anytime.
yeah. Thanks. Okay.
All
Bye.
right. All
Yeah.
right. Bye bye. I'll see you later.
Cheers.
All right. Bye.